Welcome to Dimensions in Chumash by Rabbi Immanuel Bernstein, part of our collective Journeys in Torah.
Welcome to Dimensions in Chumash by Rabbi Immanuel Bernstein. I'm Steve Geller, and I'm excited to bring you another amazing piece from this amazing sefer. The beginning of our parsha describes how Yosef interpreted Pharaoh's dreams as forecasting 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine, an interpretation that had eluded even the wisest of Egypt's experts. What's amazing is that having successfully interpreted the dreams, a miraculous feat in itself, Yosef didn't stop there. This lowly Hebrew slave proceeds to offer Pharaoh, the leader of the most powerful nation in the world, advice as how to deal with this impending situation. And now let Pharaoh choose a discerning and wise man and appoint him over the land of Egypt. And let Pharaoh take steps to appoint overseers over the land and organize the land of Egypt in the 7 years of plenty. Literally, just moments before, Yosef was a slave, a Hebrew slave, considered the lowest form of human in Egypt. On what basis does he feel that he's authorized to offer Pharaoh unsolicited guidance as to how to run his country? Many commentators have discussed this very question. One of the more interesting approaches is that Yosef's advice was not actually outside his role as interpreter, rather the ideas he expressed were actually contained within the dreams. The Torah introduces Pharaoh's first dream by stating, V'hinei omed al hayor, and behold, he was standing over the Nile. What is the significance of Pharaoh standing over the Nile? Well, we can understand the presence of the Nile River in this particular dream as the years of agricultural plenty in Egypt is predicated on the water that comes from the Nile. But the idea of Pharaoh standing over it seems to be telling us something else. The Bnei Yissaschar explains that having Pharaoh standing over the Nile in his dream, heaven is indicating to him that in the years ahead, he would need to assume the role of the Nile by providing for Egypt himself. In the famine years, when the Nile won't be able to provide water to grow crops, it would be Pharaoh who would need to provide food for his people. This gave Yosef the segue from interpreting the dream to advising Pharaoh on the specific action to provide for Egypt's well-being. It was included in his role of interpreter. What's more, we see that Yosef does not suggest that Pharaoh himself oversee the organization of the crops during the coming years, but instead he should appoint someone else to do it. This too, says the Bnei Yissaschar, was part of his interpreting Pharaoh as standing over the Nile. The contribution of the Nile to Egypt's agriculture consists of a single decisive factor: water overflowing its banks, which is then handled by others to provide for the country. Likewise, in placing Pharaoh over the Nile, the dream was indicating that his contribution too was to utilize these others who would then take over the ongoing management of the crops in the coming years. Another issue with this episode asks a seemingly simple question: how many dreams did Pharaoh actually have? Notice the Torah's words after Pharaoh's second dream, which state, Vayikatz Pharaoh v'hinei chalom. Then Pharaoh awoke. It was a dream. These words are curious. Having introduced the episode stating that Pharaoh was dreaming, it seems redundant to state that when he finally awoke, everything before that was a dream. And the Psukim describe that Pharaoh had 2 dreams that night, and in between he woke up. Well, this makes it inaccurate to describe what he had seen in a dream within a dream simply as a dream. These questions lead commentators to conclude, in fact, that Pharaoh had only 1 dream that night. When the Psukim states that he woke up after the first dream and then went to sleep again before the second, this too was all part of 1 dream. He dreamt that he woke up from the first dream and went back to sleep again. While he was dreaming, it felt as if he really had woken up in the middle. However, when he actually woke up, he realized, V'hinei chalom. The whole thing had been 1 dream. In fact, this was one of the reasons Pharaoh rejected the interpretations of the Egyptian wise men. Vayisaper Pharaoh lahem es chalomo. Pharaoh told them his dream, but no one could interpret them for Pharaoh. Notice the pasuk says he related his dream, implying 1 dream, but then it states that none could interpret them, which implies more than 1. This was a big part of his dissatisfaction with their interpretations. They all insisted on approaching them as 2 separate dreams, not realizing that they were all 1 dream. This is true even though Pharaoh himself indicated in his description that it was more than 1 dream. After relating the first dream, he said that he woke up, but did not then say that he went to sleep again before the second dream, stating rather, I saw in my dream. And no one picked up on this detail, no one except Yosef. The first thing Yosef says upon hearing the dreams is, Chalom Paro Echad. Paro's dreams are one and the same. And with this, Yosef understood that both dreams of Paro were really part of one big dream. And we can now appreciate that already at this stage, Yosef had Paro's full attention. This brings us back to Yosef's advice. If Paro's two dreams were really in fact one big dream, in the middle of which he dreamt that he woke up, that means that Paro's waking up was part of the dream. It was this that Yosef emphasized, telling Paro to wake up, take action. Start making provisions immediately for the years of famine. And as we said, Yosef didn't advise that Paro should deal with the logistics of the coming years himself, rather that he should appoint someone else to do it. The Be'er Yosef explains that this too was part of the dream. As the Psukim describe, after dreaming that he woke up, Paro dreamt that he went back to sleep again. The full message of this dream is therefore that Paro does indeed need to wake up, but only to the extent that he could then go back to sleep. Meaning, Paro needs to take action, appointing someone who will take charge of the planning for the years ahead, allowing Paro to return to a dormant state and let the events take their course. Once again, Rabbi Bernstein takes us right into the event, as though we were there watching it play out, with no detail left out. It's just amazing. And of course, you really should help us by liking this video, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and hitting the share button, which lets you paste the link to this video into emails and texts to family and friends. They'll all appreciate it as much as you.